The movie starts with a man waking up and beginning his day from his car. He walks out straight into the construction site he's parked next to. He is Levon Cade, the overseer for the construction company working there. He shows his good leadership by giving his team a pep talk before starting the day. Levon is well loved by both his team in the field and the family who owns and runs the company, the Garcias. In the office, the Garcia daughter Jenny asks her father to approve her budget for a celebratory party with her friends that night. Her father Joe initially refuses, but her mother Carla tells him to just go along with it. While laughing at the family's banter, Levon notices that one of his workers is being harassed by a couple of thugs. He goes out to help by beating the thugs up, clearly highly skilled in fighting. He tells them to never come back before helping the worker. Jenny, who saw the whole thing happening, approaches him and asks him to teach her how to fight like him.
Can you teach me? Tell me how to break fingers.
Levon refuses, saying he's a different man now, but that he has her back if anything ever happens. Later, Levon drives to a big house that's hosting a crazy-themed party. His young daughter, Mary, immediately runs into his car in excitement. Levon speaks to his ex-father-in-law, Roth, who has custody of Mary. Roth doesn't like Levon spending the little time he's allowed to with his daughter because he thinks Levon is a dangerous man. He also thinks that Levon is the reason why his daughter took her own life. In reality, she has been battling depression her whole life, and she died when Levon was deployed as a soldier. The father and daughter spend their afternoon eating at a restaurant where Levon gives Mary a gift. It's a picture of her mother together with a younger Mary. She then admits to Levon that she sometimes feels angry at her mother for leaving them alone.
I'm mad at Mama for dying and leaving us.
Soon after his weekly visit with Mary, Levon meets with his lawyer. He informs Levon that Roth's lawyers are claiming that Levon is suffering from PTSD and is a violent person, in hopes of reducing Levon's 2-hour weekly unsupervised visit with Mary to a supervised 1-hour visit once every 2 weeks. Levon wants to fight the expensive lawyers Roth has hired, despite his lawyer's advice to give up. He gives his lawyer some cash he saved up from sleeping in his car, but takes the advice to rent a place to help his custody case, despite it being so shoddy. Meanwhile, that Friday night, Jenny and her girlfriends are having fun partying with the budget she was given. They go club and bar hopping throughout the night, getting drunk and dancing. In one club, a mysterious man seems to be stalking the group, watching and even taking pictures. He and a woman are plotting something bad. When the girls move to their last venue, a dive bar, Jenny asks the bartender, Johnny, if there's a free table. He says yes, but only if she tells him her name, and she did. It turns out that Johnny is working with the stalkers from earlier, gang members named Viper and Artemis. Johnny texts them cues on Jenny's behavior, and when Jenny escorts her friend to throw up in the bathroom, they make their move. They duct tape her mouth and drag her through the back alley towards their van. On Monday, Levon returns to the construction site to find Joe and Carla grieving. They tell him that Jenny has been missing since Friday. They know the cops won't look for her properly, so they offer Levon $70,000 to find her, since Joe knows that Levon is ex-military. He refuses, stating that he doesn't do that anymore, but he'll help to manage the construction site running smoothly. After work, Levon visits his old friend, Gunny, a clinically blind ex-soldier. He tells Gunny that he wants to look for Jenny because he promised to have her back, and Gunny supports him.
I worry about you, but you already made your mind up.
With his decision made, Levon visits the Garcia's house and tells a grieving Joe that he will look for Jenny and bring her home safely. Levon immediately goes to work. He looks into Jenny's last known whereabouts, the dive bar. He witnesses Johnny dealing drugs to many customers, takes pictures of the cut CCTV cables, and finds Jenny's earring in the alley she was dragged through. With the tracker he planted on in Johnny's car, Levon follows him home. He busts through the door with a shotgun in hand as Johnny smokes some pot. When shown a picture of Jenny and asked where she is, Johnny pretends not to know anything. But of course, Levon knows he's lying. He ties Johnny up and waterboards him in his own bathtub. The torture is enough to wear down Johnny's resolve, but he warns Levon that he's dealing with very dangerous people. Levon doesn't seem scared. Just as Johnny is about to reveal some names, a couple of men come through his front door. Johnny screams, alerting the men that he's in trouble, but Levon immediately kills him. He moves on to fighting the two men, eventually shooting them dead with his shotgun. Upon inspecting the bodies, Levon figures out that they're Russian mobsters. He grabs their bands of money and his own shotgun before leaving the premises. In the morning, more Russian mobs come to the scene of Levon's slaughter. Two brothers Danya and Vanko escort a higher-ranking older man named Wolo to inspect the bodies. The brothers think it was a mutual shootout or a robbery, but noticing the gunshot wounds, Wolo knows it's someone else.
You see any shotguns?
$90,000 of our money.
They hire cleaners to dispose of the body, unaware that Levon is still parked nearby to observe them. He sneakily follows their car towards Wolo's house somewhere in the woods. After setting up his lookout between the trees like a soldier, Levon stakes out the house and waits until Wolo's wife leaves the house. A quick infiltration later, Wolo wakes up tied to a chair by the edge of his indoor pool. Levon explains that if Wolo makes too much noise, he'll let go of the cable that's holding Wolo's chair from falling into the water. Wolo warns Levon against stealing from their mobster group, but instead, Levon throws him the bloodied money he took earlier, claiming that he's only doing this to find Jenny. Wolo doesn't answer. Instead, he curses someone out in Russian and threatens Levon again. Levon snaps the cable and lets Wolo drown before leaving. With an audio recording he secretly took, he translates Wolo's curses to find out that a man named Dimi might be behind Jenny's kidnapping. Later, the Flashy brothers accompany their father, another senior member of the Russian mob named Simon, to check out Wolo's death in his house. Simon watches the CCTV footage of Levon killing Wolo, wondering what Levon is after by hunting them. Meanwhile, Levon calls another old friend of his who is a cop. He's asking for a favor to look into a man named Dimi within the Russian mob circle. His friend also warns him that he's dealing with a big fish, but then gives Levon the name of a bar that has affiliations with the Russians. Levon wastes no time heading there, scoping out the biker bar. It turns out that Artemis is in charge of security surveillance for the bar. She notices that Levon doesn't fit in.
You know this guy?
No, I've never seen him.
After finding out that Levon has a gun in his pocket, she sends her colleague to check him out up close. It's all according to Levon's plan, though, as he shows the man a stack of money. The man understands his intention and escorts him to his boss, Dutch. Dutch questions him about his gun and whether or not he's a cop. Not taking the disrespect, Levon gets surrounded by Dutch's men who want to gang up on him. Of course, Levon takes care of them all easily. Just before he kills one of the thugs, Dutch stops him. He gained respect for Levon now and asks what he wants.
Look at those bricks. You ain't a cop, you're a working man.
Levon pretends that he's there to buy drugs for his construction crew, and he needs a steady supply. Dutch tells him to come to a diner tomorrow morning with the money. There, he is met by Artemis and her colleague from yesterday to receive the money. Levon only gets a burner phone in return, but Dutch calls him to say the drug is under his car seat. Not needing them, Levon throws the whole thing into a river. Meanwhile, Viper and Artemis deliver Jenny in a suitcase to the man who bought her. They tell him that she was drugged and is asleep, ready for him to abuse. They wait in his house as he opens the suitcase, but soon after, the man returns, yelling with his cheek half bitten off. Jenny wasn't fully unconscious and fought back, so now the duo takes her back into captivity. From this mistake, Dimi threatens to kill Viper and Artemis, saying that the client wants Jenny dead. Sometime later, Dutch calls Levon again, saying he's going to introduce Levon to his boss, who supplies the drugs. Levon comes to the fancy restaurant as instructed, and Dutch introduces him to Dimi, the man Levon is after. Dimi asks for his driver's license to verify his identity, and Levon gives him a fake one. It passes Dimi's check though, so now they talk business. Once again, Levon trashes the drugs he paid for down the drain. While investigating, Levon notices Viper in the pictures Jenny took before her kidnapping. He returns to Dutch's bar for a stakeout, but Artemis catches him on the CCTV and sends some men to catch him. Levon notices that he's caught, so he rushes to escape using a stolen bike. He crashes into a cop car during the chase, but the cops are working for the Russians, so he gets captured.
You didn't see us here. Nothing happened.
You're on the payroll too.
Upon waking up, despite having his hands tied, he manages to kill Danya and Vanko, also killing the driver and causing their van to sink into the river. The death of his sons enrages Simon, who calls for an emergency meeting with the Russian mob's top leaders. He informs the leader that Levon is looking for Dimi, So the leader finds information on Levon's real identity and lends 2 of his best men to help Simon find Dimi. Simon and his crew come to confront Dimi in a club. He asks Dimi if he knows what Levon wants, showing him Levon's picture. Dimi is oblivious, surprised to find out that Levon has killed many of the mob members, including his own father. They finally figure out that Levon is hunting them to save Jenny. The next afternoon, Levon gets a call from Mary's school about her grandfather not picking him up. After doing so, he believes something must have happened to Roth, so they head straight to his house. He was right, because earlier, the Russians broke in and set fire to the house. Levon saves Roth, who was tied up inside, before taking Mary to Gunny's house while he finishes the job. Gunny also supplies him with high-grade weapons.
The original weapons of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. M14.
In the evening, Dimi threatens to kill Viper and Artemis for failing the job and says the client wants to kill Jenny. So they transport her on the back seat of their car, but Jenny manages to fight them and escape through the woods. Unfortunately, the same cops who caught Levon also catch Jenny, bringing her back to the duo. They take her to a building where the client is holding a party. Meanwhile, Levon finally comes to confront Dimi, who is eating dinner and getting high in a restaurant. He kills all the bodyguards before shooting Dimi's hand and asking where Jenny is. Fearing for his life, Dimi agrees to take Levon to Jenny's location at gunpoint. He also admits to Levon how his human trafficking business works. He gets Viper to take pictures of pretty girls, and the clients choose which one they want.
This is my specialty service.
Once there, Levon throws him in a ditch and kills him to protect more girls like Jenny from being trafficked. While he goes to prepare for an infiltration, Dutch finds out about his plan and rounds up his boys to ambush Levon. Similarly, Simon also plans to ambush Levon with his men. Inside the building, Viper and Artemis drag Jenny into a back room along with the client. They chained her hands to the ceiling, preparing for the client to abuse her. However, before he can touch her, Levon causes a scene by infiltrating the building and killing many of the armed guards. When Dutch and his cronies arrive, he also deals with them swiftly. While the chaos ensues, Jenny manages to fight back against her captors using her skills from karate class. As Levon finally kills Viper, Jenny also kills Artemis by snapping her neck with her leg grip. Wasting no time, Levon breaks Jenny's chains. It leaves them with their final opponent, the 2 men that was lent to Simon by his senior. While hiding behind a counter to shield themselves from one man's open fire, Levon uses the new technology of the guns provided by Gunny, killing one of them. He kills the other one with a grenade, finally ending his fight to save Jenny. The 2 escape the premises in a motorbike while Simon watches. He calls his senior, wanting to go to war against Levon, but his senior doesn't want to seek trouble with such a strong opponent. Finally, Jenny returns home to her parents' grateful embrace. The film ends with Levon picking his daughter up from Gunny's house, sharing a meal with the family before they leave.